and most of it is aircraft model and damage model. The flight model changes will be added to the patch note later. Not surprised, that'll probably be, and like 5 pages long. But remember, when people say, Gaijin never fix bugs or whatever people say, just point them towards these and the change logs, and you realize they do fix a lot of stuff all the time. So we have some naval fleet model, damage model characteristic and weaponry changes. So all ships, the firing of AI has been corrected. The information about the arming angle and launch radius has been added to the stat card for shells with radio fuse. I would like to know what the firing range of AI has been corrected means. Were they firing too short? Were they firing too long? Were they struggling to work out when to hit you? All of this stuff is, obviously needed. I saw a lot of people at top tier just decimating AIs, and my guess is they just weren't engaging when they were supposed to be. The Battle D14, the Vosper 2nd Series, and the Hyder, armor protection of the onboard installations has been fixed. Lovely. So that's 2 British destroyers and a rank 1 British ship, I believe. The PR-159, hello, old friend. First order ammunition and elevators have been added. Magazines, bridges, and radio rooms have been changed. Lovely stuff. That'll probably be because the Radeon one, which is incredibly similar to it. The squadron vehicle, which is coming in, is an upgraded version of the PR-159. So have fun with that. The PR-1124, the MBK-161, and the PR-1204 Lates, the armor protection of the main caliber turrets has been changed. So that's some of the Soviet boats. The MBK-186 armor of the cannon mantlets has been fixed. Armor of the T-34 tank turrets has been fixed. So a bunch of armor changes, which is hopefully positive. The Higgins 78-footer PT-200 anti-air armament targeting modification has been added. Good. That'll mean that it'll be much more accurate, or at least you'd hope so. The PR-191, the 191M armor of the main caliber cannon mantler has been fixed, and the Battle D14, the torpedo sight and the aft torpedo launcher has been fixed, and the Leander, the Her Majesty's Royal Navy or Her Majesty's New Zealand ships, I'm not sure what it is, but anyways, the HMNZS Leander, one of the light cruisers that Britain has. Shell dispersion of the main caliber cannons has been fixed. Luckily, that means that they'll be more accurate. The Class Isles, really, that's how we're doing it now. The T285, the class of the ship has been changed to Mine Layer. Ooh, I wonder why they've done that. I mean, we do have other mine layers in the game as well, but that's a mechanic that everyone's forgotten about that I've been looking forward to for a long time. You remember the VS8, that German premium that they tested a while back? Wouldn't it be lovely to see other ships with that in game? Like with the ideas of being able to drop mines in places. I mean, we do have a lot of machines in games that can drop mines, so you could just add it to them. The Type M1943, the class of the ship has been changed to gunboats. That's a big bloody gunboat. The SGP S304, the onboard crew has been changed from 16 to 34. Description of the machine guns has been fixed. That is a big change. That's double the crew on that, and the SGB was already pretty good, so its survivability is going through the roof, which is great. The PR-206M, the tactical technical characteristics of the torpedo has been fixed. Wonderful. The Vosper 1st Series and 2nd Series ammunition load has been made divided into the amount of the magazines. The Fairmile D617 ship's armor has been changed. The Elco 80-foot PT-565, the active guidance area for the rear cannon has been increased, and the 1124 modifications, the armor protection of the main caliber turrets and conning room has been fixed, and the MBK 161 all modifications, armor protection of the main caliber turrets has been fixed. So a bunch of armor changes mainly, one modification change, some class of ship changes, which you don't see a lot, and also some other changes as well. All pretty positive when it comes to addressing the realism factor in naval. The visual changes and ship models. So the Haida, the X-ray and visual model of the 20mm is fixed. The Nuremberg, the correct rendering of the ship over large distances has been fixed. I never saw that issue. I suppose that will help in test sails, so we can actually see it in its glory if it's ever put in there. The Class N G25 displayed X-ray view has been fixed. The MBK PR186 MK85 bug with the lack of the main caliber turret in X-ray has been fixed. The Nuremberg again, the blackout behind the glass window has been added. PGH-2 machine gun setup has been added. The Fairmile D, the 617, displayed depth charges and X-ray view has been fixed. The Jaguar, the visual bugs in the main caliber turret have been fixed. And the 1939, the guidance angles of the cannons have been fixed. So overall, good bug changes. It's nice to get them in there, get them done, get them ready. Now on to some of the interesting stuff. So the economic and research, a lot of people have been hitting me up about this, asking for an opinion. The M60A1 Ariete stabilizer has been removed. BR for all game modes has been changed from 8.3 to 7.7. So the fact is, with the M60A1, they gave it a stabilizer back in the day when the specific model which they named it did not have a stabilizer. It was as simple as that. And with that said, what they decided to do was to pull it from the store and work out what they wanted to do with it, because, well, you can't... It's a bit tricky with a premium, right? Because, you know, people have paid money up front for this product. And if you have to change it in such a drastic way, because a stabilizer is a big thing, especially at top tiers, then you're going to have a lot of people who are angry after they bought it beforehand. Now, what is interesting, and I brought this up many times to many different people, is because a lot of people have been saying, oh, is it illegal? Maybe a class action lawsuit is required, you know, all of this stuff. And it's very easy for me to see a double standard. The IS-6, right? The IS-6 was an overall hated vehicle. It was just a pain to fight constantly. And the reason it was a pain to fight was because of its turret, because of its speed, and because of its gun. The gun wasn't stabilized, but it was quite stable, and it also had a great round attached to it. And the turret did have a bug in it where it had extra armor in a specific area where it shouldn't have had it. Now, what they did to the machine is they took out that turret armor, and also they upped its BR, right? So that's 2 nerfs to the machine. Now, a lot of people paid a lot of money for the IS-6, and I never saw anyone complaining about that. I didn't see anyone complaining about the fact that this machine got 2 nerfs slapped on it. But now, for some reason, people care about the M60A1 Ariete, even though it's losing its stabilizer, and it's also getting a BR reduction to fit in with that stabilizer. And now you still have a better version of the M60, which is at 7.7, remember, in the Italian tree. So you're still technically, you know, one up on the other nations. But it's just odd to me that there is this weird thing that nobody thought about this when the IS-6 was changed. But for some reason, the whole community is up in arms on the M60A1 Ariete. But if it is the case, let's say it is the case, right, that it can be proven that you can't do this after selling a premium. First of all, that sets a horrible precedent for premiums. It means that you can never nerf them, even by historical standards. And secondly, if it is the case, a lawsuit should be put together to make sure that it is cemented in place, right? And if you believe that there is one there, have a look. I personally don't think there is, after reading the terms of service, reading the EULA, and looking at other court decisions when it has come to other games and changing their product when, you paying money for it. And so, yeah, can it be seen as a dick move? I suppose, yes. Can it be seen as artificially nerfing? No. If anything, in the first place, it was artificially buffed, which is, another way of looking at it. But yeah, it isn't a surprise that they are now fully changing it to what it should be in the first place. As I said, the M60A1 Ariete, the way it is named and the way the one it corresponds to, did not have a stabilizer. I made this very clear way back when it was being sold. But there are other options, and I won't show them to you. I provided specific sources to the correct individuals so they can have a look for themselves. But I also believe there is some kind of deal with this, with the M60 and the OF40. I might be wrong. I am a little bit... I haven't looked into it properly just because I've been busy with dev server stuff, and you know my opinion on this thing. I think it's a horrible addition. And I know a lot of Italian players have been annoyed at me for saying that, but it is straight up paying for power, right? There is no disadvantage to using this over the standard OF40 Mark II in the tree. None. And if you're okay with that, fine. But please don't have a go at me for sticking to my principles, like I always will, because I think it's ridiculous that you can just pay money and get a better version of something that's already in the tree, right? Terrible. Anyway, back to the changes. The customization. Possibility to create custom user camouflages for ships has been added. This is only a positive thing. This means that you can get more independence, individuality. You can express yourself more in the game, which is always good. The interface, the visibility in the research tree for event vehicles which are available for purchase on the market has been added. This is a wonderful change. This means that stuff like the E100, the IS-7, all of the stuff that you can find on the Gaijin market will now be visible to you in the tech trees in War Thunder. Now, this means that you can test drive them, it means you can preview them, and most of all, it means that you can go into protection analysis and work out how to kill these things, because that was definitely an advantage that these event vehicles had. There's a lot of weird and wacky ones that are quite old, the MBR-2, the aircraft, but stuff like the KV-220 is one of the mystical ones that people always bring up. It's got a big weak spot on the front of it, the lower turret, but because a lot of people don't have it, you can't work out where that weak spot is, and you just think, well, I don't know where to shoot this damn thing. So yeah, it's nice to see from a balance point of view, all of them being visible to everyone, so you can test them out, you can check them out, and even before a purchase, on the Gaijin market, maybe you're like, oh, I want to buy this, $6 premium or something. There are some cracking machines on the Gaijin market for incredibly cheap. Like the Su-85A is insanely good for I think it's $3. The MB-152, that's down there as well. These are all amazing purchases that you can make much better than a $60 premium. So yeah, make sure to check out the Gaijin market for very good deals on specific premiums. And this is only a positive move for the community when it comes to being able to work out how to kill the enemy. The displayed warning regarding the impossibility of retracting landing gear when using suspended boosters has been fixed, thank God, because that was annoying as all hell. The game mechanics that they're adding, now this is the spicy stuff, this is the stuff that I am always interested in. The first one is wonderful, and also something that I thought from the April Fool's event they were testing, and it seems like, well, it was probably already implemented ages ago, but it's nice to see now. So the ability to hit ATGMs whilst in flight, as well as moving torpedoes with a direct hit from weaponry, shells as well, as with the effects of the explosion, shockwave, and fragments in the air and water has been added. So you can now gun down ATGMs, and you can now gun down torpedoes. This is amazing. This means that, in effect, if you hear that noise, which we've all heard from an ATGM launcher, that sound of the missile coming towards you, you can actually do something about it, instead of just sit there and hope that the ATGM guy misses you. You can gun it down, you can shoot it, you can do whatever you want with it. This definitely does nerf the ability of ATGMs and also torpedoes, but I think it's a positive move, because guess what? It's a bit more realistic. You don't expect, one of the biggest ways of dealing, or one of the biggest defenses that has been created over the last, maybe 10, 20, 30 years to deal with stuff like anti-ship missiles is literally a system, like a gun system, which is just designed to throw as much mass at the anti-ship missile as possible to try and either knock it off course or to destroy it. Now, if we got systems like anti-ship missiles added to the game and did not have a counter to them, then it would be all hell. This is one of the counters, the physical counters of dealing with them. So I'm happy that it's coming in first before we get anti-ship missiles, and also this will change how ATGM launchers work, and also it will reduce the impact of torpedoes, but I'm okay with that. Being an arcade player, I can just gain more. It's also harder to see torpedoes compared to ATGMs, where you can hear them and see the bright light very, very easily. And now that we're getting faster and faster ATGMs as well, there is definitely a need for a counter to them. And we have a few, smoke, now that you can knock them off. Also the fact that you have to stand still most of the time while using ATGMs, or at least go very slow, that limits the use of them a lot. Overall, there's a lot of good things for the ATGM user, and also against it as well. There's also new types of sensors. You've got passive optical systems have been added. Such types of sensors will not be detected by radar warning system indications and can detect and track targets covertly. These systems have been implemented on the Stormer HVM, the AD&D Air Defense Alerting Devices, and Bradley ADATS, the Air Defense Anti-Tank System. The passive detecting systems can only provide direction for the directed target. The measured range to the targets, it must be taken into account. So, we're pretty much getting, I suppose you'd call them radar blockers, might be the way to do it, and this means that we are at least progressing further technologically, so not everything is going to appear on the radar. I wonder if at some point we get something similar to this, but for aircraft, and then we start talking some very interesting talks. The main thing right now is this will increase the survivability of both of the machines, but you'll still be able to see them optically, through the gun sights and stuff. So I don't think it will make a massive difference right now, but it's nice to see they're testing the system to make sure that when it's implemented for other vehicles, that it isn't so crazy. The possibility of launching the AGM-114B missile in LOAL, lock-on after launch, mode has been added. To operate in this mode, the player needs to turn on the target pointer and point it towards the target and launch the missile. The initial point of the surface is where the sights are aimed at will be selected as the coordinates for the inertial guidance system of the missile. After the launch, the target designation can be switched off for the duration of the missile's flight and on just before it hits the target. So, with those last 2 points, I hope you understand what's going on here. First of all, you are implementing systems which will hide specific vehicles from radar. They will not be able to be detected. Then you're adding a lock-on after launch mode for a specific AGM. You know how I was talking about Mavericks and how they work? We're getting pretty close to that. And I know a lot of you are looking at stuff like the Stormer, the Bradley, the Roland and thinking, oh my god, these things are going to annihilate CAS. They might do for an update. But remember, Gamescom is coming. And you know what I've got an inkling for in Gamescom? One of the next evolutions of CAS. The A10 Warthog, the SU-25, very much proper guided munitions when it comes to the game. And it should make a lot of these machines obsolete. But it always depends on the distance. Remember, the effective distance that a Maverick is useful to, I believe, is around 22 kilometers or about 10 miles. That way outranges the machines that we just got in game. But they are quite vulnerable to other jets and other stuff, so we'll have to see. All I'm saying is these two signs, and also I suppose the first sign as well, these all point towards more expansive weapon systems in the form of missiles. And also guided bombs, technically. So sounds. Preparation works for the transition to the new sound engine project, which already has sound events that have been made and prepared, sound databases, which contain sound resources for the game has been created, support of new API for the new sound engine has been added, resources for all vehicles and weapons have been reworked for the support of the new sound engine. Great. So hopefully that means in the next little bit in the future, we'll get a big sound update, or it will just be easier to modify the sounds. So for the mod makers out there who do make, obviously, the sound mods, everything is made easier. Mechanics of simultaneous support of the old and new sound engines have been created. New sound engine will be switched on shortly after the release of update 1.89 and at different times for different platforms. I hope that they do a news article on this, because I want to hear some of the new sounds. I want to see the sounds. Yes, that's right. Let's get all the drugs. But no, what I mean is I want to be able to see the difference between the old and new sounds, if there is going to be, and if there isn't, and this is more of just a back end kind of jig to make sure that it's easier to modify. That's great as well. Because there are some amazing sound mods out there, and hopefully that gets expanded upon. The other thing as well, one of the sounds that needs to be fixed, and I hope this system deals with it, because you can, as I said, you can even see it in the World War Mode trailer, gun sounds don't overlap. And engine sounds from planes don't overlap. So if you've ever seen one of my intros where there's a lot of planes flying by the screen, one of the things you may notice is you hear like fwa, 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 and it's as if all the sounds are cutting off each other. Well, that's because they are. So I hope instead of the sounds cutting off each other, we get more of a broader sound instead. That would be lovely from a video making point of view. But anyway, those are the preliminary notes for the dev server, and then obviously for update 1.89 as well. All majority positive. I can understand why people are annoyed at the M60, but it was going to have to happen at some point. And you can see that there is definite steps forward when it comes to trying to create some ridiculous mechanics for CAS and also ridiculous mechanics for the ground. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Martinez, Matity, Moxie, Nito, Nick Graham, Alobralo, Sebastian Corona, Super Cacti, and Elove Goats and Seductive Trashcan for supporting the channel.